So we live in a data-dependent world. Societies, individuals, families, organizations of all types, for profit, non-profit, governance, education, healthcare, social services, banks, all depend on data to succeed. And being data-dependent is not new. What's new is that there are more and more data, more kind of data, and information is moving faster and faster around the globe. The volume of data is expected to grow 61% each year, reaching 175 zettabytes by 2025. 1 zettabyte is 1 trillion gigabytes. And this explosive growth can be attributed to the increasingly connected world in which we live and to the additional data that's being generated by machines, not just by human and business entities. So we can consider data as the oil of the 21st century, the raw material that our economies, societies, and even democracies are increasingly being built on. So we should consider data as a vital asset that should be managed as intentionally as the other asset. And as I said, data has value and is used by the organization to make profit. And as to resource, data is essential to achieving organizational objectives and to performing business processes. So senior leaders should not see data as the detailed bird in the boils of IT and in your computer systems, but as a source of unlimited new opportunities. So they should not consider data as potential as just for specialists like data scientists, but for everyone, and a way for the organization to distinguish itself from competitors. So it's often said that previous industrial revolutions have equipped us with muscle power. The invention of the steam machine saved a lot of elbow grease. Just think about all the heavy machinery in the mining and business industry. Now, much like how fossil fuels propelled the machine to equip us with muscle power, data propel artificial intelligence systems to equip us with mind power. Now, unlike oil, data is a source that cannot be depleted. And unlike oil, the amount of data that we have at our disposal will massively grow rather than decline. So the creation of data and the use of it to fuel artificial intelligence system will do more and more tasks for us. Business processes are becoming more effective through automation, and will benefit from products and services being augmented with smart algorithms. Now, despite heavy investment on big data, on business intelligence, on predictive systems powered by machine learning, many companies struggle to turn the data into strong business decisions. So the question is how to use the power of data to make better decisions, to make data-driven decisions. Transforming data into business value is harder than many companies thought it would be. It requires to put in place data strategy, data governance, deeper resources, more expertise. But there are two things that are really essential to transform the data into business value. And each company needs to have in mind. The first one is the quality of the data. Poor quality data is the enemy number one of machine learning. In June 2020, in the US, a man was wrongfully arrested in his house in front of his family because of a false hit that was generated by a facial recognition algorithm. And this was the first documented example of this happening in the US, but it was not the last one. So, achieving the promise and potential of machine learning while minimizing the risk can only be done with high-quality data. Artificial intelligence is a misnomer. It's not really intelligent. It cannot intrinsically distinguish the good from the bad, the right from the wrong, fact from fiction. All it can do is to consume a massive amount of data and to generate a pattern that fulfills its programming mandate. So when the data is incorrect, when we have poor quality data, the generated pattern will be skewed and the result will be faulty. So in this light, the real intelligence behind artificial intelligence lies where it was always been, in the human brain. The smarter we are with data, the smarter our machine will become to achieve greater productivity. So poor quality data affect the organizations at multiple levels. Higher processing costs. It costs 10 times as much to perform a unit of work when the data is incorrect than when the data is perfect. Unreliable analysis with lower confidence on reports and statistics. The bottom line management will not be easy. Poor governance and compliance risk. And you know, compliance is not optional, and business survival can get challenged without them. The loss of brand value when the organization makes error in the decision, in the operation, the brand value decreases quickly. So all these losses can be avoided if you manage to improve the quality of the data. So if you want to transform your data into business value, each company needs to set clear objectives in data quality improvement. Now, there is another thing that I would like to talk about when you want to transform your data into strong business decision is your data communication, or what we call data literacy. Data literacy is a core business skill. The potential value hidden within your data may remain dormant if you are unable to understand and to interpret what the numbers mean. Now, if you are able to understand the data, and you are even able to find meaningful insights from your data, but you are unable to communicate it effectively to people who can take the decision, it won't deliver. There is still possibility it won't deliver to its value. So, the ability to take the data, to be able to understand it, to process it, to get value from it, to visualize it, and to communicate it effectively, these will be hugely important skills for the next decade. In other words, the value that are generated from your data will remain dormant without these essential skills. So, when you want to communicate your insight, when you find a meaningful insight from your data, and you wanted to communicate it to the management to take the right decision, data-driven decision, your data communication can be judged by how many communication level it can reach. At the first level, the basic level, You want your insight to catch the attention of your audience. And once you have their attention, you want them to understand your insight. And on the third level, you want your audience to remember your insight. So you want to have an insight that resonates enough to be recalled. And on the last level that you want to reach is that you want your audience to act on your insight. So it's nice to have an insight that can be understood and remembered, but it won't drive to any value if it leads to any form of action. So when you find a meaningful insight from your data and you want to communicate it to the manager or to any people that really can take decision to act, your data communication must motivate people to act. And for that, you will need data, of course, but not just data. You'll need a combination of data, narrative, and visuals to propel your insight up to the highest level. So you will need data, of course. You will need relevant data, data in good quality, trustworthy data. And then you will need to structure and organize your insight, your information into a meaningful and compelling narrative so that it's easier for your audience to consume your content. And if you want to make your insight more engaging, you need to consider humanizing the data. You need to reveal the human faces behind the data. Generally, most of the cases, data is directly or indirectly related to people. Your customer, your prospects, citizens, employees, partners, patients. So you need to highlight data. You need to highlight people, not just numbers. By putting a human face on your number, you can make your data more approachable and engaging to your audience. And then in the final step, you will visualize your data into a clear and concise manner so that it's easier for your audience to follow and understand your insight. And the easier you make your insight, the easier you make your visual to the audience to follow and process, the more likely your audience will understand, will retain, and agree with your main point. People behave positively when things are clear and understandable. So, when you combine narrative with data, this will help you to explain what's happening with the data and why a particular insight is important. When visual and narrative are merged, they will engage and even entertain your audience. And when visuals are applied to data, this will enlighten your audience to insights they wouldn't be able to see without charts and graphics. So whether you are working with data or with narrative or with visuals, each element is powerful individually. But when you combine the right visual and narrative with the right data, you obtain a data story that can influence and drive change. So this is the end of the presentation. Thank you for your attention.
If you have a specific question, please do. Otherwise, I would ask, from your experience, what is the main bottleneck or misconception on the C-level side about data, using it and potential?
Yes, generally in the organization we have different departments. We have the technical people, and we have also sometimes data management department, and we have business people. And the problem is, as far as my experience, what I see, there is a problem of communication. When data science communicate with business to explain to him what is the potential value that can be generated from the data by choosing such model or another model, is a problem of communication. And business feel like frustrated because they do not understand what's the Python. Okay, there is a Python and there is a language and there is a machine learning model, but it's more an issue of communication. So sometimes there's a need of translation between the technical people and the business people, so that business are aware of the potential of data, because data is not a matter of technical people or data scientists. It's really behind each data there is a value, a business value. So business people must be more involved in the decision that's being taken on what to do with the data. So it's more a matter of communication, I would say.
Okay, that's a well-known handicap of all engineers, to communicate things in a less technical way. Sometimes I think we all can agree. Another interesting thing you mentioned, and right now we are going through the all regulation and bias concern. I'm wondering, where does that responsibility lie? Because we do need to humanize our data, but we have C-levels with not very knowledgeable of it. We have high technical teams who are really digging in the field. Do we need to come to a consensus here? Should we create like a new profession, like a data ethicist or something? Where do you see in the following years this coming along?
It can be in different levels. We can start at schools because data modules are often given to technical people, but there is really very few introduction on data to business in business schools. So maybe we can start in the learning module in the school, and even on the MBA now we can introduce data, perform a data introduction on data on this MBA. On the other side also, technical people need to make an effort to speak business language and to understand what's behind this number, what's behind this pixel, to be able to, when they communicate to business people, to speak their language, and so that discussion is easier, and both of them can really identify how to extract really value from the data. Yes.
I think on the more practical side, question from the audience: how would you recommend explaining managers and C-level how you should have a good process of data quality and lineage?
So the process of data quality, that's it? The question?
How would you recommend explaining it? So as a data manager or a lead data scientist, you come up to your C-levels, and how do you get the attention and all up to the act part? I think that's very tricky.
Yes, so this is, it was really here a brief introduction on the data communication, but to be able to, as part of the communication, we need to have the right narrative. By narrative, I mean put in really business value on each data. When we speak about data, we do not speak about, we really try to translate data into business words, I would say. And also it should really be presented in a narrative structure, in narrative manner, starting from the issue, how we can solve the issue, and what kind of solution also. And in the story, we should really go further and understand the root cause of the issue. It's a kind of investigation, but at the end, the story is like any presentation, data story and storytelling. We need to have a communication which is really, which employs narrative structure, but also compelling, really interesting visuals. So
it needs to be database, but also very narrative flow. So to convince your
data and
your
charts,
audience.
of course. Yes.